Hello! Welcome to the Unapologetic Geek. Today we're going to be talking about creature features, as we did 2 weeks ago. Thrash isn't here yet. Hopefully he'll show up at some point. He's just running late, I suppose. Um, to do. I see that channel member Indie Spoats just shown up, and he's worried about me because of my special announcement video. You like that thumbnail where I'm all like deeply concerned? Yeah. I got a clickbait, it is what it is. Let's see who we got people here. I've already gotten money. Like, thank you so much, Sarah. She gave me a great super sticker. I wish I could show it to you, but I can't. And she also, I know that's in here somewhere, she also became a new member. So now I can say channel member Sarah. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of channel members since my announcement, and at least one other Patreon. So that's cool. That's something. I'm glad that people are supporting me, and that people recognize that what I'm going through with my TV reviews is just bullshit. Sorry, dropping the S-bomb already. But it's worth it.
Yep, it's worthy of it.
Yeah, and everybody seems to agree, except for obviously YouTube and MGM. So it is what it is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically just copyright stuff. I made a video, like a 10-minute long video where I talk about it and ramble on about it. So yeah, you can go check that out. I see Danny is here. He now has his wrench. I see Lance is here. I don't know where Thrash is, to be honest. If anybody has his number, just text him. I have it, but my phone is like way over there at the moment. So let's see. We've got Keebler. Hello. Laughing Dog. Who else? Oh, Vim Vanderstraten is here, as always. Always good to see you. Here's Alternate Dan. Harold the Hatter is here.
He's also right there.
Oh, yeah. Keep forgetting Harold Scott's
weirdo. Right, I know, right?
Oh, and my mother is here. Yes, Sean, we are giving out wrenches, but only to those who ask. Oh, hold on. My bandwidth is going crazy, so let me close that. Sorry. I didn't do my due diligence here. Mid-sized Sasquatch is here, or Susquatch. And yes, thank you so much, Sarah. You are the bomb. Hey. I got to get you on this stream. My mother was just telling me on the phone earlier that there's a distinct lack of estrogen on this panel. So
estrogen and extrogen. So
yes, extrogen. Yes. Steve is here. Hello, Life Inside Ending. Now he knows about copyright problems. Trust me, he knows better than I do. He had his channel basically deleted for a while. So that was fun for him. And I remember thinking at the time, man, I'm glad that's not me. Shouldn't have thought that. I jinxed myself. Now I'm jinxing myself even more. What am I doing?
Knock on wood, quickly.
So, I was hoping I could BS my way through this until Thrash got here, but I guess he's not here yet. I don't know. But I think I saw that Lance texted him. Yeah. So thank you, Lance. Hopefully he will appear. Oh, cool. All right, Sarah, we'll get you on. Maybe next time. 2 weeks. Mark it on your calendar. You'll be here. I don't know, man. If Thrash doesn't show up, maybe I can get you on right now. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Because I've said about 40 times.
As he does.
So,
there's 50.
There's another one. I am going to start with one of my personal favorites that I used to watch a lot as a kid. It's kind of like a mix of comedy and horror, and it scared the crap out of me, but I kept watching it for some reason, and that's Arachnophobia. One of my favorite movies of all time. The late Julian Sands as the mad scientist guy who goes to the Amazon and picks up a horrible spider. Well, the spider stows away in a coffin of the guy that he killed in the jungle, and then just terrorizes this small Midwestern town. The spiders just take over the barn of the new city guy who's moved into the small town to the like farming community. He's like a doctor, Jeff Daniels, I want to
Yep.
say. Yeah.
Mhm. Jeff Daniels. Yep.
He is
And
Dr. Ross Jennings.
it plays itself kind of straight, kind of goofy for a while, mostly straight until John Goodman. Thank you. John Goodman shows up.
I love his
And
character in that
he
movie.
is the best. He is the best thing about the movie, and I love it so much. He's the exterminator who just comes in and bombs the crap out of the house trying to kill these spiders. It's great. But it does that thing where you get spiders in all the different places you don't want to see spiders, like in a football helmet or in your slipper or on the toilet, or my personal favorite, the one that always bugs me, is you got a little lamp with the pull string on it, and she like pulls the string just as the spider lands on her hand. That gives me nightmares to this day.
No idea how many years I looked underneath the shade after seeing of a lamp after seeing that movie.
So as a creature feature, it definitely does what it sets out to do. It makes you scared of spiders, and I love it. Yeah. Where a lot of other big spider movies go wrong is that they try to make the spiders like big. They make them like grotesque or gigantic or somehow mutated. Whereas in this movie, the spiders just basically look like spiders. Yeah, the mama spider at the very end is kind of like a giant tarantula looking thing, but the main spiders that kill so many people are just regular old spiders, basically.
Yeah, the offspring. Yeah, they're all.
Yeah.
I think they used I think they used wolf spiders for most.
Yeah,
of
I
them
think they
in
used
the-
a lot of
yeah.
wolf spiders. They definitely
Yeah.
look like wolf spiders, which
Yeah,
if you
'cause they're not
live in
little spiders, but they're good sized spiders.
yeah,
They're definitely not like
yeah, they're not tiny, but yeah, they're
yeah,
they're
but,
like
but they're
mid-sized
definitely not like
spiders.
gigantic fake
Right.
looking things.
Right.
So. And I like how they
And-
used actual spiders like in the movie, like real
Absolutely,
spiders,
it's like they
you know.
talk about they're I think they're remaking this movie, Arachnophobia, and they're probably going to do CG, and it's going to suck. It's not going to be
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
It's I you know me, I'm not opposed to remakes on principle, but in this case, I don't see the point to remaking this movie. The special effects aren't going to be as good. The actors are just going to be chasing really good performances in a really like it was lightning in a bottle. It was the kind of movie that shouldn't have worked but did, so remaking it is just going to feel like a hollow imitation,
I remember the trailers on TV and how ridiculous the movie looked. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, spiders. Okay, that's scary. And then I saw the movie and I was like, that was a great friggin' movie. It's
yeah,
just,
it's awesome.
great. I love John Goodman in that movie. I really do. He was just, yep, I'm bad. Yep. It's just- the way he like always talking like he knows everything about everything. He's like one of those stereotypical know-it-alls that knows absolutely everything about everything, but yet
Right.
doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He's trying to tell the what were the spider experts called? Were they entomologists? I guess.
I guess they were just etymologists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Entomologists, not etymologists. Two different
Yeah,
things.
trying to tell them their what they know about spiders, kind of, or what he knows more
Right.
about them, kind of thing. He's like, no,
Exactly.
no, you don't.
And then the big spider expert Julian Sands, who's of course very arrogant, goes
Yes.
into the nest and is just like, "Oh, this is fascinating," and obviously dies because he's fearless,
Of course.
and he shouldn't be. A whole bunch of people have showed up, so I've got to say hi to some people. Chance is here.
Oh.
Hello, Chance. Always good to see you. I think I mentioned Sean Ennis. Sean Ennis is here. Yes, R.I.P. Julian Sands. Always have somebody with you when you go wandering into the woods, man. Don't do that by yourself. That one girl, 89. One of the TikTok support families.
yeah.
Yes. Lance mentions Eight-Legged Freaks. I also love Eight-Legged Freaks for the exact opposite reason of Arachnophobia. Tracy is here. Hello, Tracy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Indy. I didn't know they were arachnologists.
arachnologists.
Yeah.
Is that really a thing? Is that really a word? Oh, I'm sorry to hear this, Tracy. Get better. Get a lot of rest. Drink a lot of fluids.
Get well soon.
Sorry, I'm trying to scroll through all these comments. There's so many. There we go. Now I'm caught up. And in the actual way, not in the thrash way, where he says he's caught up and he's not even close. So yeah, does anybody else
Still
have
2
anything
hours
else to
behind.
say about arachnophobia? What about you, Scott?
No, so I saw it in the theater, like when it came out, like back in the 90s. So I was still like middle school age or so. And just again, never was afraid of spiders, but that absolutely made me so. John Goodman is excellent in everything he does, and his bravado, like I don't know if anyone saw. It was like an old Prime TV show. I think it's like Alpha House. That's where it's like a bunch of congressmen in a apartment, a shared apartment in DC.
I
or
saw
whatever.
an episode or
John
two
Goodman.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, John Goodman's in it, and it is absolutely just, he is phenomenal. And but it's that arrogant bravado that he is, to me, the personification of father, and also the personification of arrogant bravado. What is it? What's the movie he comes in? I just recently In Flight. He was in Flight, right? And he's like the guy that like is the street pharmacist or whatever, and comes in and does, and it's just his like, get out of the way, let me handle the situation, I got this under control, kind of, that he can do on a stage. And in Arachnophobia, like that's absolutely what he like kind of brings with this character. And it just, like you said, just makes the movie. I love like everything about it. It's 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It really is that good. And also, it was 1990. So, Tug, you need to get on it, my man, and you need to do a review, because it's past 30 years.
Yeah, I gotta talk to Mike and see if Mike O'Connor. I missed the 90s. See if he wants to talk about it.
Oh,
it sounds like his kind of movie for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's one. I'm just putting it out there because I think you could do it justice, and it's a worthy one to do justice for. And again, we forget that we're like the 90s is 30 years.
It
ago.
is, yeah.
At least our generation
now, yeah.
Oh my god. So yeah. So but yeah, no, it's a phenomenal movie. It's definitely worth the weekend watch. So highly recommend it.
Keithy is here. Hello, Keith.
Definitely don't watch it if
beautiful
you already
Patriot.
have a problem with spiders, though, because it will make you like.
Yeah,
crawl
you'll
big time.
yeah, like I don't like spiders. I've never liked spiders, and that movie, like I said, it terrified me as a child, but I kept watching it. I was fascinated by being terrified of this movie. Because I kind of felt like the movie was trying to be a comedy, and I thought maybe in my brain as a kid, I'm like, is this a comedy that I'm taking seriously because I don't like spiders, or is it actually horror? And like, I didn't realize that it had that blended genre because I was too young to understand that.
Oh, it's definitely a comedy, but it's also
exactly.
horror.
It's both.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What was I going to say?
It's
About John
dramedy.
Goodman, about how he's like got that arrogant authority, but as opposed to Julian Sands, he actually uses his authority. He actually earns it. Like John Goodman's character does live through it. Yeah, he's very silly, like dual wielding giant like pesticide sprayers
Tanks
with
on
the
the
big,
back
and the tanks on the back and the gas mask on his
Big
face.
boots on and everything. Yeah. Goggles, you know.
I love this movie so much. Anyway,
I love that the scene when he's like walking down the walkway and there he sees one and he sprays it and it just kind of like tumbles, it gets up and walks away, and he sprays it again. And he walks over to it and just steps on it.
He eventually has to step on it. Yeah.
And that's the bird caws in the distance. He goes, "Yep, that's right. I'm bad." I think that was an improvised line, by the way.
Probably. Yeah. I love that. You're right,
So,
Scott. I should totally cover that movie.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw something out there. It took me a minute to figure out who Julian Sands was. And if anybody's watching this, they could see where my heart drops and dies a little bit, because I was like, if you had said Warlock, I would have known
Warlock.
immediately. Right?
Same guy.
Right? I was like, I didn't realize he passed away. I'm like, no.
Oh,
Yeah, not too long ago. It was less than a year ago, I think.
January. No, it was a little over. It was 60, like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
January
yeah.
2023.
And wandered off into the woods alone and never came back. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my bad for that aside, but
No,
Yeah,
he was
my heart
also
is
a really
broken.
cool villain in 24.
that's what,
Yep.
now that I do remember.
Anyway,
No, he's a phenomenal actor.
he's a
Anyways.
great actor. Everything I've seen him in, I've loved him. He's really good. He's got a great voice. Anyway, I guess that means it's your turn, Damien.
Oh, okay. I am going to go with I think I will start with Deep Star 6.
Woohoo! Still sticking to the same time period. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is like, during the whole I think it came out in 1989. Yeah, 1989. That whole like 1980s deep sea horror / just deep sea movies. You had Deep Star 6, you had Leviathan, you had The Abyss, which really wasn't horror so much, but
It was all
yeah.
three of those were being filmed at the same time. The Abyss didn't come
That's
out
right.
for a couple of years because there was a whole lot of post production. But like,
Yeah.
Deep Star 6, Leviathan, and The Abyss were all in production at the same time, and it was like a big deal in Hollywood. So yeah,
was all that happened like in a very, very short period of time. Then there were a
Yeah.
couple other deep sea movies before and after, and but it's all part of that. But this one's kind of more the B movie of them, with more B list actors in it, than A list actors for sure. Yep, very good, Lance. It's just it scared me a lot when I was a kid, because it was like there's this giant crustacean that they unearth from the Paleolithic era, but you asked him for 350, but anyway. Giant crustacean they find that they unearth. It's like the hubris of it. They like, oh, there's a void underneath our work site where we're going to put nuclear missiles on the seafloor, mind you. Then they blow it up. The scientist is like, yeah, just blow it up. We'll build a platform over top of the hole. Don't worry about it.
right. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So they blow it up, and they send a remote down to go look in there. They're lose control of the remote and send the sub in after it, and then the sub disappears after something is approaching it at a very high rate of speed, and then kind of all hell breaks loose after that when it finds its way out of the hole, and this giant thing that we hadn't seen yet, and attacks the little I guess remote base or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And they go to try to rescue them, and Captain dies, and yada yada yada. They end up back at the main underwater base, and then it starts coming after them. Or wait, no, I'm sorry, I skipped a bit. They the idiot mechanic guy, Snyder, played by Miguel Ferrer, or Ferrer. How do you pronounce his name? Ferrer. He decides to follow protocol, or is told to follow protocol, and blows up the missiles and creates a giant shockwave, which of course messes up the underwater habitat, and the creature comes after them there. And when they go outside to try to fix something so that they can decompress, some airline or whatever, one dude goes outside in the underwater diving suit, the big bulky one with the the holes in it and whatnot, or the
like little portholes. Yeah.
Portholes in it. Yeah. Deep sea diving suit thing, and it's attracted to the welding, and it gets into the airlock with them. Hey, Thrash, how's it going?
Thrash has arrived.
It has arrived. I was doing a few last minute this and that. That's why I'm cutting it a little close, but I am here, and great to see you guys again.
Okay. We are currently talking about Deep Star 6.
I don't think I saw Leviathan, but I never saw Deep Star 6, so
Oh, okay.
This is
won't
the
be much help there.
further B-rated movie from Leviathan.
Leviathan
Let's
like
go.
leans a little bit more into like Lovecraftian horror,
Yeah.
whereas Deep Star 6 is more traditional. It's just a big
Leviathan's like
monster.
the Thing underwater almost.
Kind of,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm-
and
I'm-
Deep Star 6
I'm gonna
is-
say B rated is
Yeah.
is very generous
for which one?
for
Leviathan or
Deep Star 6.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
it's definitely a B movie.
I like it.
No, I think
they're
that's
both
fair.
about the same level, honestly. I mean, Leviathan has Peter Weller in it. And,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. So that raises it up a level by itself. You know, has slightly better.
I'll
special
say they're
effects to it,
both.
but-
I'll say
they're both
B-
great
B-
movies. Yeah.
yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah.
I'll say B rated is generous for both of them. Okay, let's
I disagree, but okay. I think they're AAA films.
Yes, they
Here's
are.
one for you, lads.
Where's the Oscar for them? Where's the
Hold on. Yes.
Have any of you ever seen? It was a made-for-TV movie with, of all people, Chad Everett. It was from, I want to say, 1982, 83. It was called The Intruder from Within.
No, I don't think I've even heard of it. Nope.
It's basically Alien, but it's set on a deep offshore oil rig.
Hmm.
They bring
Okay.
up some prehistoric lampreys who can possess human bodies. It's absolutely trippy. It was on
Wait.
YouTube. I don't know if it still is.
I think I
No,
have
I've-
seen that, but it's been a
I-
very long time.
I found it. I'm gonna post it in there right after Deep Star 6. So
oh, did we lose my camera again?
We
Yeah,
sure
your camera
did.
went out.
Oh, I I'm gonna go out and come back in. I hit something I shouldn't have. I'll be back.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, the thing gets into the airlock with the guy, and as they're hoisting him out of this water-filled airlock
This is
thing,
the scene that messed me up.
this giant creature with like 3 jaws kind of thing, like the jaws open up in 3 different, appendages kind of thing, clamps down on it and bites off his lower half, and there's just like gore
Yeah.
hanging from it's just like it's one of those
You
scenes
see like
that's
his intestines falling out
yeah,
and stuff.
it's just
Yeah.
like, when you're a kid watching this, you're just like, ah! Of course you gotta open up. Anyway, and so then it's in the building, and they still have to, or it's in the habitat, and they still have to fix the pipe and stuff, and of course there's some questionable how did it get out of that room and into another things that happen later, but eventually they get into they get away, they get into the escape thing or sub after they finally do get decompressed and make it to the surface or leave the habitat just as it's exploding from its nuclear reactor overloading.
Of course, yeah.
And of course it has to, you have to have that happen. They left it in the habitat. It was in there supposedly when the thing exploded, this giant crustacean. And they make it to the surface, and then all of a sudden it appears. Of course, you got to have that surprise ending, where the alien or creature or whatever comes back at the very end. You didn't kill it after all.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, they somehow blow it up by setting fire to the sub that they were on, and its explosion, I guess, kills it. We never
Because
really
it's
know,
more powerful than the nuclear explosion.
Yeah. And of course, it didn't have to decompress. It can just come to the surface, without, just as quickly as the sub did, without, having, swim bladders explode out through its mouth or anything. Like, if you've ever been deep sea fishing, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Anyway.
like earlier in the movie, it showed you what happens when you don't decompress. Because Miguel Ferrer,
that's
the
right.
villain, goes like freaks out, gets in the pod without decompressing, and goes straight up, and you see him like basically explode slowly
Yeah.
over. It's
blood
crazy.
starts leaking out.
leaking out of all of his
yeah,
orifices and
Of course,
everything.
they don't
yeah.
show him explode. They just show the splat.
They show the
on
splat against the
window.
wall, as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's just disgusting.
So yeah, that's how I learned about the bends before I started scuba diving.
Was through Deep Star 6.
Yes.
The thing I like most about this movie is just the creature itself. It's like, instead of being an alien or something supernatural or something even humanoid, this is literally a giant crustacean from some bygone era of the ocean kind of thing that that they use as the monster, and it's pretty friggin' terrifying when you look at it. I mean, imagine a giant, shrimp or something
Basically,
like
yeah, like
that
a
coming
nightmare
for you.
shrimp thing.
It's like
Yeah.
this is the role reversals. Like you walk into Red Lobster and you get to pick out the lobster you're going to eat. No, this is the lobster walking into Red Lobster and picking out the human it's going to eat, kind of thing.
We are the Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Exactly.
Thanks
So,
for being
yeah.
here, Lobo.
Hey, Tug, too soon, my man. Too soon.
What?
Red Lobster and the
Yeah.
closure of Red Lobster don't.
You can still buy the Cheddar Bay biscuits. You have to make them yourself, but you can buy the kit.
Some locations are still open. The one down here in Pensacola is. So
What I can't figure, I used to work for the Olive Garden. And holy cow, I've already frozen.
Yeah,
Um,
2 minutes with Thrash and he's frozen.
we didn't take bets this
We
time.
didn't even take
Dang it.
bets.
I'm just gonna leave it like this. But the funny thing about
It's a
Darden
great
Properties,
picture too.
Oh, that's good. Darden Properties was actually one of the best restaurant chains in the country at one point, and now it's like literally spiraling the drain. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I'm glad I got out when I did.
Very good point, Andy, by the way.
Oh, and apparently, D-Man, apparently I picked the wrong of the two movies to see. I really have to go out and see Deep Star 6 now.
Yeah, Deep Star 6 is great. I like Leviathan, but Deep Star
Yeah.
6 is more of like it's more what you expect from a creature feature. It's just like it's straightforward. There's a monster underwater and
It's
we
trying
have to
to
do
eat them
something
all.
about it. Yeah, exactly.
It's trying
It
to
even-
eat all of us.
Is it deep? I get these movies mixed up a little bit, but is Deep Star 6 the one where you've got the doctor and she like uses the defibrillator in the water to
Yes.
zap the creature while
Yes.
it's like in the room with them?
Yes.
I love that scene.
And
I don't know why.
supposedly it dies right there.
Well, of course,
you know,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
but
one of its
then
many
they-
false deaths because
Yeah.
creature feature.
Of course, yes. And when did that? I've been wondering about that. When was that first brought into like as a movie, plot device?
A trope?
Where, where the monster or whatever. You
It definitely
think it's
doesn't-
over with.
It definitely does predate Alien, but I think Alien's the one that really popularized the
Yeah.
Act 4 comeback.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think in my brain of what the first instance of that happening is, but I would probably get it wrong anyway. Indy can probably tell us. He'll have
I was
to.
It
about
might
to say,
even be.
let's-
It might even like not even be from that genre. Is what I'm saying. Is like you could have like a bad guy in a mobster movie come back at the end when you
Well,
think
yeah,
he's
true.
dead, So,
like Carl and Die Hard. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Good point. But Carrie's a definite, yeah. Carrie's a
Yeah,
definite,
Carrie.
um,
Yeah, absolutely.
Definite, yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to think of like I'm trying to go way back. I'm trying to think
Me-
of
me
like
too. I'm going
Universal
back to the
horror movies and
30s.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the Invisible
Just
Man.
when
did?
you
No,
think the
no,
horror
it
is over.
didn't. Exactly.
Good point. Maybe like
You
an
think
old
he's
war
gone?
movie.
He's not gone.
He's never gone. Sorry, what about Bob moment?
If I had $1 for every time somebody said that to me, I could retire in Maldives.
Poor Bob.
It's like
Oh.
my wife had a friend for years. Her name was Carrie, and everyone would go, "Carrie is so very." Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I knew a girl in high school named Sherry, and we'd all sing "Oh Sherry" all the time, and she hated it so much.
Which is all the more reason to do it.
Of course, that's
Mhm.
why you do
Exactly,
it, right?
Yeah,
Like-
that's why you do it.
This is an interesting question. Troll Hunter. It's been a while since I saw it. I saw it when it first dropped, like on Netflix or something, many years ago. I remember really liking it, like the concept of it and the effects were pretty cool. But I'm not sure I can give you a fair answer unless I've seen it more recently.
I thought it was decent. It's been a long time. Like when I watched it when it first dropped too. Like
Yeah,
what was that? Almost 10 years ago.
it was
I
a
would
long
think.
time
Yeah,
ago. It was
a
like
long time
early
ago.
days of Netflix.
Yeah, because back when you had to like they didn't have as many options on the
Back when it was still
streaming services. It's
mostly
like,
getting the discs in the mail and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
well, they just didn't have as many options on any of the streaming services. So you get on there and be like, yeah, I don't want to watch that. I've seen that. I said, what is Troll Hunter?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's 11 o'clock at night. I got nothing better to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, I get it confused with that. There's another movie that dropped on Netflix around the same time by future famous director Gareth Edwards, monster called just Monster, about like two refugees trying to like cross the border into America, and there's like
brought that up on the alien invasion.
Oh, that's right. We did talk about that movie. Yeah.
That's a good movie. That was another one of those movies. Yeah, like you're saying, like came
just
out
see
around
it
the
on
same
there,
time.
like, I don't know what this is, but I'll watch it.
I'll watch it.
I like it. It was actually going to be on my list. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, what? Troll Hunter?
Yeah.
Or Monsters?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, Troll Hunter.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Well, bring it up
if you
at some point.
if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it now.
No. That's all right. That's all right. I got others.
Okay. Well, since Thrash was late, you're gonna get the next call. So there.
All right.
You've been
So,
punished.
I am going to go with to me the quintessential creature feature. It is Oscar level creature feature.
Ooh.
That I think everyone, when they think of creature feature, they think of this movie. So we can all say it at the same time. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I was wondering which one you were gonna
That
pick.
almost made my list.
on my list, but
That actually
yeah.
almost made my list.
Yeah, I know. It's
Attack of the
no, I know.
Tomatoes.
No, I know, and especially okay. So like, given Deep Star 6, the C, C movie like rating of 50%, I will say Attack of Killer Tomatoes is scored only slightly better at 27%, but it's still it is gloriously bad, and it's at like it knows that it's bad, right? And
It's made to be a B movie. It's deliberately made to be
Right.
stupid. Yeah.
right, and they lean into it. It is funny. You have at one point Black Hitler, and a guy parachutes and tries to attack him. They're climbing over. They're doing this like military like meeting in this room where the table is basically the same size as the room. They have to like crawl over the table, the defense, like of what are we going to do about these tomatoes? It like I'm watching it with my nieces and nephews and my kids, and it's like you just see the tomatoes like floating, and they're like, are those just like real tomatoes like floating in the water? And I'm like, are they just real tomatoes floating? Do you know what kind of odd my God, it's Hitler. And the guy's name is the FBI, like in a car that says unmarked FBI unmarked car or something like that. Like it's printed on the side. And like the guy that's the head of the FBI Special Forces group is Mason Dixon. And they're dropping off a scuba diver into like the desert prairie, right? Like, and he's like waddling away and jumps into like a fountain. Like it's gloriously schlocky and wonderful. And like, there was a cartoon at one point. Like it's just, it is a cult classic. It's so bad. It's wonderful. And it is so I'm like, when it's a movie like that, I'm always a strong believer of do not rent them. Do not spend money on them. Like, don't spend any money on them. Like I'm trying to find Deep Star 6 anywhere that I can. But the only place I can find it right now is rent and purchase. But I'll try. Where'd you get it?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay. All right.
He went to the deep web.
Yeah.
Dark recesses of the interwebs.
Okay, and I will say this, and let's not pirate movies either. Like because they, like, even though they're bad, they do deserve some sort of compensation for their work. But like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is free on Tubi.
I used to own Deep Star 6 on VHS, so therefore I have rights.
We're not here to discuss the ethics
Anyway,
of piracy.
sorry. Anyway, nobody say anything about piracy. I don't know what
All
you're
right.
talking about.
Yeah.
Arr.
And so
It's okay if the movie's rated R.
maybe it's like, hey, no sailing was involved in the watching of this movie.
Exactly.
I'm sailing.
Hey, if I
No,
found
I
it
will
in
say-
international
You know what?
waters of the internet, then technically,
I will say, so
International
for many
waters
of
of
my
the internet.
movies,
That sounds like a really nice way of saying the dark web.
Yes, exactly. It's
I
your
will
Tor
say,
browser.
for the watching of many of my movies, they were done on water, and so sailing was involved at the time of my watching them. So maybe that, like, even though it was like legally watched, it may be considered piracy. And so
Yes, and Tracy brings up a good point. For a lot of the old movies that I talk about, like when I talk about the older movies, like I can find them at
Yeah.
the library. It's
Yes.
a really
Yes.
good resource for older movies that like you
Oh, yeah.
can't necessarily find on streaming or have a hard time finding even at like your used DVD store or whatever.
they still have libraries?
They do still
know.
have
Oh my
libraries. Yeah. I have an app on my phone where I can like rent books from the library and just read them on my phone without even
Oh,
having to
my.
leave my house. It's great.
Wasn't there a big lawsuit about that not long ago?
Yeah,
Digitizing
there's
books
like
or
a
something?
really weird system of DRM and how it all works. I don't really understand it because I'm an old man now, but yeah,
There were lawsuits about everything, for crying out loud.
true.
You know? I want a lawsuit. I shouldn't even kid.
Ghost Ship. That's the one that has that introduction with the wire.
Yep.
If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Spring. It gets your attention. I'll give them that.
It definitely does. It's a good way to
It
start a
does.
movie, man.
It
Yeah.
really grabs you. Oh, and
Tug,
one
you,
thing I
that's
just
funny.
wanted to add.
Side splitting humor.
Oh
no, Tug, you real fast while Bob talks, while Thrash talks, you got to post Indy's comment.
Oh.
Go ahead,
Yes.
go ahead,
Oh,
go ahead,
just-
Tug.
Oh, I have to. Well, I was just gonna say, with Killer Tomatoes. I mean, they stole the ending of it. Spoiler ahead for Mars Attacks.
Yes.
So you have Schlock borrowing from Schlock. I absolutely love it. There's also a sequel made with George Clooney, a very young George Clooney, which I actually own. The movie is just a lot of fun, and the weirdest thing is it really holds water as an alien invasion or even as a war film. I'm a huge war movie buff, and you know, as you mentioned, like for example, there's one scene where the president comes in for a briefing, and he goes, "How's the war going?" And his attaché says, "Well, we had a setback during the night." "Oh, really? How bad?" "Well, that depends. Did you know anybody in Wisconsin?" I mean, and they go to a big board and they're just making cross marks in the states that we've lost. You know,
It's,
hopefully they were red. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, I kid. I kid you. I am a kid there.
yeah, it's a really funny and great.
If only we
movie.
could find a way to make it a Western, it would fit into everything we've talked about on this show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, it's free. And George Clooney was in that before he was in Facts of Life and everything. That was like one of his like really early Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
What year did that
too.
come out? It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
One?
Yeah.
No, the Return of the Killer
early
Tomatoes.
80s.
Oh, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was like 78.
Was it?
70.
Yeah,
something like that,
78.
78.
Yeah.
It's earlier than I thought, to be honest.
But the Return was, I want to say, 82. Maybe a little
Yeah, because that's the
later.
one that had George Clooney and it was the sequel.
Clooney, yeah.
Yeah.
78. Yep. 78.
And of course,
Didn't
Clooney
they
didn't
have-
break out until
Didn't they have Attack
Yeah.
of the Killer Tomato toys in the 80s, if I remember
They
correctly?
might have, because it was the
Or
cartoon show.
or something.
cartoon,
yeah.
yeah.
The cartoon
yeah.
show. Which was
They
actually
did. They
pretty
had
funny.
like a plastic tomato that like you could squish it, but it would like pop back up. It's kind of cool. That's all I remember. According to Indy, the original did come out in 1978, and Indy is never wrong, except when he is.
No,
It's very rare.
he's absolutely correct. I looked it up. It's 78.
Okay. Well, I guess Thrash, you get your turn finally at long
Thank you.
last.
And by the way, I want to reiterate. For some reason, I have it stuck in my head. It was 1:30 today. When
Nope.
did you guys?
We started
One-
at 1:00. Yeah.
I am so for some reason I get stuck in my head. It was 1:30. So I apologize about being late. Like I said, and as always, I was just anyway. That doesn't really matter. But I'm sorry that I was late, guys. Won't happen again. I promise.
It's no worries. No worries at all.
Yeah.
But
We
I'm
keep it
gonna
loose here.
and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You still made it into the first round. I mean, you know.
Yeah, we haven't gone all the way around yet.
Well, at first I
The
thought you
only
guys
one you've missed is arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia,
So,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
No, I thought we were all just doing our like pre-show banter. Then I noticed there were comments in the comments section, and I went, "Oh,
Oops.
Oops.
Ooh. Anywho, I'm going to open up with one of my favorites for several reasons. I'm going to open up with the prehistoric humanoid from Horror Express.
Okay, nice. Yes,
This is a great film.
it is.
It's one of the many incarnations. Well, if you've seen The Thing or Thing from Another World, you already got the main plot. But in this case, it takes place in pre-revolutionary Russia, and this Russian entrepreneur doing a archaeological dig in like way like almost to Vladivostok discovers this missing link, and he's going to bring it back and show it off in Europe for prestige and money. And he's traveling on the recently completed Trans-Siberian Railroad. Now, here's where the plot kicks in. The prehistoric creature comes back to life and starts wreaking havoc on the train. And it's sort of The Thing if it was written by Agatha Christie.
That's a
it's
good
got-
way of thinking about it. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's got Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, and they're always amazing together. It has Telly Savalas.
Telly Savalas
as,
is the captain. Yeah.
of the Cossacks. He does. He plays a cool Cossack, if there is such a thing. And what we do is we find out that before life on Earth started, these aliens came to Earth. It's almost like a cocoon situation. Aliens come to Earth. One of them accidentally gets left behind, and what he does is because they're non-corporeal, they have to actually take over other bodies, and he takes over like various prehistoric life, and just makes it to prehistoric man. In fact, there's an implication that he inadvertently guided human evolution while doing so.
Right.
And the thing I love most about this one of all the incarnations of The Thing is, one, it manages to keep just enough flavor of Lovecraft to make it fun. You know, the whole period piece, this whole gothic creepiness, love it. But the creature is actually intelligent and can communicate. He even mentions that in Thing from Another World. He goes, "You have spaceships. You must be intelligent. Why won't you communicate with me?" But the thing is just sort of like Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
How can anything with alien technology, not at least try to communicate with the other side? You get an inkling of that in The Thing, but in this, there's actually a scene where the monster sits down with he's taken over a different body by this stage, but he actually has a sit down with the scientist, and he's like, "Look, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You help me get off this planet, and I'll give you some technology that could help you. What do you think about that?" And they're like, "Nah, we're not buying it." It's actually the humans that refuse to trust the alien instead of the versa versa. And the whole thing, it was made on a very modest budget, and like all European sci-fi of the period, the science doesn't particularly hold water. But this is such a fun movie.
Yeah, I think it might be the first movie I ever saw that had Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing together.
Really?
Yeah, my dad showed it to me when I was a kid because, that's the kind of thing my dad did to me. It's not technically a Hammermill film, but it does kind of feel like one. I think it's like
Spanish,
a Spanish.
actually.
Yeah.
It was made by a Spanish record.
But no, I love it. I find it fantastic. And to your point about the Thing not communicating, in the original story by Campbell, he didn't want to communicate with humans because he could read our minds, and he didn't want to try to communicate with us.
Those guys are crazy. Why would I want to talk to them?
They never actually discussed that in any of the movie adaptations, but in the original story, that's why.
Huh.
It looks like a really interesting movie, Thrash. I might have to see that.
Oh, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, check
It's
it out.
free
It is well.
everywhere. It's free everywhere. Also,
Awesome.
I'm putting in a YouTube link.
I'm
where
pretty
you
sure
can watch it
Brandon
free on
Tenold's got
too.
it. So
A
And
missing
so-
link.
Aha.
nice.
You see what I did there?
Well played. Well played. But yeah, no, like it's like you can. I've got all the like places that you can watch it at. 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it looks. I've never seen it, but it looks phenomenal and sounds phenomenal. So
Excellent.
Whoa. Okay. Not to bring it down, but here's hoping that
Wow.
it stays away from Triple B, man.
Yeah.
Good luck, Chrissy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And yes, I am glad you're not on fire, Sarah. Thank you. Just like my skin has not actually fallen off. Thank you. Yeah, does anybody else have anything else to say about Horror Express? We might only get 2 rounds in this episode. We're like 45 minutes in. We've only done 1 round. So, okay, I guess it's my turn again. I'm going to go with... This is the one I almost started with, and I talked about it briefly in the comments. I guess I'll talk about it now. And that is The Ritual. This is a more recent movie. This is a guy who... During a party with his friends, he gets really drunk and he goes into a liquor store with one of his friends as the liquor store is getting robbed, and he has a panic attack. He freaks out. He hides. The robbers don't see him, but they see his friend and they attack his friend. And while they're basically killing his friend, he just sits there and does nothing because he's scared, which, that's a normal human reaction. But the whole movie is like a year later. The rest of the friend group take him out to the countryside to try to reconnect, try to move through the trauma and all that. And while they're there, they start getting hunted by a creature, and there's this weird cult. And I don't really want to give too much away about the movie, but trust me, it is actually a really, really good movie. But what I want to talk about is the creature itself, because this creature design is fantastic. It's kind of like start with a deer, like a really big deer, but for a head, it's basically got a human torso upside down with no head, and the legs are kind of like the antlers, and it is creepy AF. It is one of the best creature designs I've ever seen in a movie, and it will scare the pants off of you. It's great. That's the main reason I wanted to talk about this movie, just because I really love that creature design. It is unique. It looks kind of like the old school Wendigo drawings, as if they were drawn by like Clive Barker or something.
I just looked it up.
or
It's
H.R.
like
Geiger.
Or H.R. Giger. Yeah. It's
Geiger,
wild.
yeah.
Satan's antelope or something, or
Yeah.
Satan's white-tailed deer. Here,
It's called The
you know?
Ritual.
And-
I highly
yeah.
recommend it.
Yeah.
It's and normally I'm like one of those like careful about spoilers, even if they're old movies, like we're trying to get people interested, stuff like that. But like it's one of those, it's on the poster, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
so like it is.
There's this one great shot in the movie that I
Phenomenal.
think is on a lot of the posters where like there's a barn that's on fire and you see the creature like in front of it. It's just like really cool.
Indy. I don't know if we could put Indy's.
I'll put it
yeah,
up
yeah,
there,
yeah.
whatever.
It's,
I don't
oh
monetize
my
these
god! Oh my god! Like I couldn't control my laughter. Like
That image will haunt me.
I have few things have ever nailed something as much as that nailed, or as much as the
I
human
don't wanna
being
think about
nailed
that.
by Bambi's mommy, my mother. So it is
Pretty much.
But no, like
Perfect, man,
even aside
perfect.
from the creature design, I do want to say it is a really, really good movie. I really like the character work in it and what the movie's about. But I don't want to really talk too much about it. I don't want to spoil it. That's why I mostly just wanted to talk about the creature because creature's great. And you don't really get a good look at it. I mean, you get an up close look at its face at one point, but for the most part, it's all like silhouetted or it's like backlit by fire, so you don't really get a great look at it. But what you do get is enough to just mess with your head, and I love that. It does get into that Lovecraft thing where just seeing the creature will kind of drive you mad, you know? I love that.
Yeah.
And then on again, guys. I'm gonna pop out and come back because now I can deal with Frozen, but I can't deal with no picture at all. I have my self image.
Okay.
Pun intended.
I'll let you back in. Has
No, don't
anybody
let him
else
back
seen
in.
the
Keep
original?
him out, keep
Have
him
you
out.
seen
No.
it, Scott?
No, so it's actually, it was on my list to get to, and I figured that it was new enough that I was like, okay, I won't get it to it this week, but I'll get to it next week, and like because it looks really good.
It's
And
really
so
good. I think you
yeah,
especially
and
would
so I
really
haven't-
like it.
so I will watch it, and then like add my, if you're okay with that, add my 2 cents.
Yeah,
at the
definitely.
next
Yeah,
one.
we can talk about it in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so just like a quick little like,
Yeah.
all right, I won't go into great detail, but it just like a little like, hey, this is my thoughts on, because it looks really, really good. It looks really good. I'm excited about it. So it's on
Yeah,
Netflix for anyone. Yeah. I think you
I
said
haven't seen it, so I might have to watch that one too. So
And he's back. Get back in your
Hey.
corner.
that. Yeah, D, let's do that. Let's watch it like
Mhm.
in these next 2 weeks, and then you and I can like give our thoughts. Like,
Did you deliberately
come
freeze
back.
like that, Thrash? That's pretty
No.
amazing.
Then you start doing it again.
Yeah,
That would have been
you got
brilliant.
me.
You know
I
what?
go to this.
Anyone that has Netflix that's watching this, in the next 2 weeks, all of us like come in and like during the pre or whatever, we could chat in the, you know, our thoughts in the little commentary in the comments. It's on Netflix, Vim. And so like all of us can like chat as we're doing the setup. And so,
We can talk about The Ritual because apparently I'm the
Yeah.
only one who's seen it.
but it looks good. It looks like it looks really good. I was like, oh, I got to see this. So
And yeah, it's usually not me who brings up the most recent movie, but yeah, this movie's only like what, 5 years old, maybe? I don't know.
That's current.
17. Yeah.
That's-
So
yeah,
like
that's
7 years.
contemporary.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By my standards, that's like it came out yesterday.
Right.
If it was made after my granddaughter was born, it's
For me,
It's amazing
anything
how,
after
like-
2000 is
Yeah.
contemporary. So
Once you have like a kid you gotta raise, like every movie, there's movies before that, movies after that, you know?
when I was working at the video store, a lady came in and asked for a copy of Slapshot. She goes, "It's this old movie," and I go, "It's not that old." She goes, "It's from 1977." I go, "Yeah."
And? Is it in black and white? No, it's not that old.
Exactly.
Right.
Is it a soundy? Then it's not old.
Right. I know. Right. I was about to say, is it
It's
a
a talkie.
talkie? Then
It's
it's
a
yeah.
talkie.
Is it a talkie? Then I don't want to hear it's old.
In my defense, that was also 25 years ago. So the 70s weren't that far removed.
I don't think things from 1977 or say 1978 are all that old.
Well,
But 25 years ago, they were even more contemporary.
from the point of view of like the 90s, the 70s were about the same distance and time away as we are from like 2000, you know, kind of thing. So,
It blew my
Yeah.
when I started watching the
Mhm.
Three Stooges as a kid.
mhm.
More time has elapsed since then than the gap from when those were contemporary to when I started watching them. You follow that?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, as I'm describing, I'm kind of going off the rails here.
It's like
just
my-
timeline, you know.
My son is exactly almost exactly 30 years younger than me. So like when he's listening to the 80s music that I put on in my car, I have to remind myself that to him or to me, like if it were me in his shoes, that he's looking at 80s music the way I would look at 50s music.
Yes.
Like, and that just it wrecks my
Yeah.
brain. I can't deal with it.
Yes.
What amazes me is, and again, the oldies were. That's one of the great things about the '80s is that we had probably more nostalgia then than we do now. I mean, and the 80s were the most cutting edge decade, but also a very, very nostalgic decade. We were obsessed with the 60s.
Yeah.
And we were obsessed with the 50s. And we were technically the 40s even, because of like we were all obsessed with World War II and stuff. I mean, so it's like we certainly had nostalgia then, but the weird thing is the 80s nostalgia seems to have been the last decade we get nostalgic about. They try a little bit with the 90s, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, or I remember this. But 80s seem to have been the decade of the nostalgia. That's where nostalgia seemed to boom.
When people talk about the 90s, it's kind of like how people tend to talk about the 70s. It's like half nostalgia, half embarrassment.
I'll say this. Like I think one of the things is because like when you listen to like rock radio, like they still play 90s music.
Yeah.
Like, we've never left the 90s.
Yeah, they
right?
never stopped
Like,
playing 90s
80s
music.
80s for a while, like just like 70s and 80s like moved maybe to soft rock, but eventually like got out of the rotation. But 90s really has never left rotation. And I think that's because the people that are holding on to radio like are from our generation, and we're like, we'll never let this die. And so like they're holding on to it like a vice grip or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. That's my
one thing that really
armchair
surprised me when I
psychology.
moved to the Midwest is that like on every radio station you're gonna find Metallica. Like at any given point at any time of day, you're gonna find Metallica on the radio. That's so weird to me. And
At
I
any
like
moment
Metallica,
of the day,
it's just
on one of those
odd.
stations, Enter Sandman is playing.
at all times.
At all
Or
times.
one. Or one.
They're just trying to
One,
sleep,
yes.
man. They're just trying to sleep. They're so tired.
The problem is immediately after Enter Sandman, you get like Master of Puppets, and you can't sleep to that. Yes, and Bob Seger. Oh god. When I was in a band, there was this one guy. His name was Brian. My band was named after his front porch. And he would always say, "Do you know any Bob Seger?" And I'm like, "Just stop, dude. I don't want to play Bob Seger."
Just fair warning, real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but there is a very big thunderstorm rolling in, and I have had some power flickers the last couple days as these storms have rolled through. So if you lose me, I'll try to come back.
Okay.
Our friend Flicker.
Flicker, yes.
That was the best I can do in such short notice.
Yeah.
No, that
It
was
works.
great. That was great.
Thank you. But you're right about Metallica. You'd think Metallica only had 2 songs in the entire career,
You'd think.
which is the thing I hate about radio. Like, for example, and I've probably mentioned this before, but I'm gonna mention it again, darn you. The Kinks. You would think the Kinks were a one-hit wonder band.
Oh,
They were
yeah,
around
right?
for 30 years. They have like 14 albums, and all they ever play, I went there in a dump, all they ever play is Lola. And you know what? I hate the song Lola. I didn't before. I hate it now. But it's like, oh my God, can't you play
Overplayed.
anything else? And there's so many bands they do that to. They were like these big mega bands. Like, for example, Bob Seger. Okay, everybody say this at once. Bob Seger, what's the radio going to play?
Old time
Night
rock
Moves.
and roll, right? Or Night Moves,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, Night
Moves.
Moves. Yeah.
No, all right. Well, you're all right. All right. So I think I've disproven my point. So there is hope, because yes, they do play da 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 da. Yes, they do old time rock and roll for all you Tom Cruise fans out there.
We know
Hey,
your
hey.
feelings on Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Like, speaking of Metallica, he also did play Turn the Page. So
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It
So
all
we're
comes
up to
back.
3. We're up to 3.
hey,
Thank you.
when I was a kid, one of my favorite songs that would pop on whenever we were doing travel was Against the Wind. And that was one of the reasons was, I think it was in Forrest Gump, maybe.
Man, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
Well, my
We
favorite
are
Bob
on a
Seger
tangent.
song-
No, but no.
Yeah, this is a
But
bit
like
of a
you're
tangent.
saying,
Having
Oh, yeah,
fun
yeah,
though.
yeah.
I don't
Sorry.
mind.
we're really going on a tangent here. Yes.
I'm
We're
going to redo the
definitely
record.
not getting
Fire
more than
Lake.
2 rounds into
Bill
this.
Collins. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
Check
yeah,
out Fire Lake. That's all I want to say. Bob Seger.
Mhm.
And then we'll get back to
Okay,
it.
yeah.
yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, we're not
Okay.
a music channel. We're a movie channel.
Yes.
But I do like Bob Seger. I just didn't want to
Hey,
sing
I
Bob
mean,
Seger for the rest of my music career.
What's one of the great things about movies are the soundtracks. So I mean,
Absolutely.
music is relevant, you know.
Okay, Damien. So
I
in
tried
order
to
in
say-
order to make this work, you've got to come up with a movie that has a really great soundtrack and is a creature feature. Go.
And a creature feature. Oh my.
Forrest
metal.
Gump. Did you
Heavy
see did you see Lieutenant Dan after the war? That is a creature.
Oh,
You
did
ain't
they
got
have
no
good
legs.
music in Pacific Rim? I'm trying to place. No, that
don't
was mostly
remember.
orchestral.
Heavy metal. Use heavy metal.
Heavy
The
metal.
shrimp
yeah.
monster from
Yeah, there
Bubba
you
Gump.
go. Because there's a creature in heavy metal. Yeah.
Well, the Lochnar is a creature.
Yeah, the Lochnar.
Yeah, I was about to
yeah.
say the Lochnar itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lochnar is the creature. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. There you go.
But no, you can have your regular pick. So
Of
thank
course.
you.
I'm just reforming.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay, so I'm gonna go with a very, very classic creature feature that I'm surprised we actually didn't get into episode 1 of this because it is like one of the quintessential creature features, the creature from the Black Lagoon, or
Lagoon.
Never saw it.
Yes.
creature from the Black
Never
Lagoon,
saw
not the creature. So
Are you being serious, Thrash?
I am so
seriously?
not being serious. I've probably said the movie 40 times. I'm kidding. I love
Like,
it.
how is
And I
that
love
even
it on so many
possible?
levels. I'm being an asshole. I mean, I'm being a jerk. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
It's okay. I already broke that. I
Yeah.
started the stream with an S word. So
sorry, did I steal your movie, Thrash? I'm sorry.
Oh no! It's on my list, but no. You take it. I can pontificate as much. on
You
your
will
list as
probably
mine.
have more to say about this than I will because I've only seen it a few times. So.
I will honestly say that I almost brought it up in the first episode, but then we
Mhm.
started talking about Shape of Water, and I felt like it was too similar. So
Yeah, well, I'm
I must
specifically
confess,
bringing
I
it
thought
up
we had talked about it
because
because we did talk about Shape of Water.
well, I'm bringing it up because we did talk about Shape of Water, which is very, like we talked about when we were talking about Shape of Water, is almost a remake of the creature or creature from the Black Lagoon, just in different settings, similar concepts, and
yeah,
but yeah,
it started
So-
life as a remake of Creature from
Yeah,
the Black Lagoon,
yeah.
as I mentioned. Yeah,
and of course the creatures do look very similar. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah,
for
it does
19
look like Gilman. Yeah,
1950s Gilman costume. It's a little cruder than the one from Shape of Water, but definitely lots of similarities there. You can tell that was definitely the inspiration for Shape of Water creature.
Hey, and as
So,
by 1950 standards, to create a
Oh.
suit that could survive both underwater and
Yeah.
above water and still work
yeah,
and look that cool,
yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing.
yeah. So yeah, that
Right.
my hat's off to them for creating that. It was a very convincing, what do they call that? Creature that's human but also an amphibious humanoid, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Gilman.
Amphibious humanoid. So yeah, Gilman. There you go. So yeah, they did a really good job on that creature for sure. But I definitely saw the parallels with the creature kind of like falls in love with what's her name, Kay, that is the character. Definitely like he's like under the water reaching out for her, and stuff, and like touches her foot as she goes. He's kind of enamored by her, and seems to want to be near her through the whole movie in some way, shape, or form. Like keeps going back to the boat, and then at the at the end, of course, he steals her away and to his little cave and whatnot. But I'm sure everybody's seen this movie. Everybody here, I'm sure, on our little panel has. Most of the people in the comments, I'm assuming, have. So I won't like go into a full synopsis of the movie, but basically, they find a hand, a mummified or not mummified, a fossilized hand in a bank on the Amazon, which makes them want to go find this thing, and they find it in the Black Lagoon at the end of a tributary off the Amazon. And I don't really think the creature is a bad guy. I
No,
really
the creature's not at all a
Um,
bad guy. It's humans
I
who are
think-
invading his
Yeah.
space.
So yeah, he's maybe being a little territorial, but he's also technically an animal. He's definitely a thinking creature because he figures
No,
out how to
it-
block the boat and stuff. But
One of the reasons why, even though it came out like 20 years later, it's still considered one of the Universal Classic monsters, is because it fits into that mold of the monster is actually relatable. The monster is technically the good guy in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Just
that,
like
that seems
Frankenstein's
to be applicable to a lot of monsters, even contemporary monster movies. where it's like, is the creature really that bad? You know, like even if you go to Alien, it's like, yeah, we can all agree that it's a monster and it wants to eat everybody and so on and so forth, but it's just an animal doing what it does. You know, it's kind of like,
Ripley
would
has
you
that-
fault a tiger for eating somebody because it's hungry? I mean, you know.
Ripley has that great line where she's chastising the money man. She goes, "You don't see them killing each other for a
Yeah.
percentage."
Exactly.
Right,
And it's like
Yeah.
the hair on the back
Nice
of my neck stood
real
up.
paraphrase, by
monster.
the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who's the real monster here? You know.
Exactly.
So
Oh,
yeah.
there's
Insert
times we
the
stay alive.
Futurama, "It was man all along" quote. Yeah.
Well, that's the twist ending of Monster Club.
Yes,
Is
it
that-
is. Absolutely.
That's why they permit humans for membership. They're the greatest monsters of them all.
Tracy says he's the Gordon's granddad. That's great. I have to. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You sure? Okay. Is is the Gilman a distant cousin to the Arkham family of what the Frog people? Do you think maybe?
I can kind of see that. I don't know. I don't know if there's any like way to connect them, but yeah.
No. I
get it.
I always wondered if, and not as a kid, that's something that came to me later. I always wondered if, like, just conceptually, like the guy who was like
No, I
visualizing
get it.
Gilman
Yeah,
had
yeah.
read Lovecraft, but no, but those are evil. You know, that's,
Absolutely, no question about
those-
that.
There's like no middle ground there. Lovecraft. That's the great thing about Lovecraft. There was always the good side and the bad side, and there was like no confusing it. But you're absolutely right. The Gilman is one of the most, and I'm so glad you mentioned Frankenstein's monster, because yes, the Gilman is one of the most sympathetic creatures of them all. And I think that's why the whole thing was so endearing.
Hmm.
No, I agree. And I have to admit, the first time I saw Creature from the Black Lagoon, I was like 6, maybe 5, and I saw it in a drive-in movie theater in 3D with the 3D glasses and
Nice,
everything.
nice.
Oh, that is a memory that I will always have. And yeah, then I would watch that movie all the time at home on VHS. It is one of my absolute favorite movies, and you know I love the Universal Classic Monsters. You can't see it, but I got Frankenstein's monster on my wall. But I think Creature from the Black Lagoon might be my favorite. It's either Creature from the Black Lagoon or The Invisible Man. Oh, there's Frankenstein's monster again. Karloff is everywhere. So yeah,
My daughter got me the whole set.
and I even like the sequels. The second one's not as good as the first one. It's kind of like Creature from the Black Lagoon set at SeaWorld, but like before SeaWorld, it was called like, I can't remember what it was
Marineland.
called. Marineland, something like that.
Marineland.
Yeah. And then the third one is completely off the wall. It goes in a completely unexpected body horror direction. It's so weird, but I love it for that. I love it for being so weird and unexpected. Like, what if we made the Gill-Man, but instead of talking about the Gill-Man being evil, let's just make him human for some reason? Like, well, his skin will fall off and he'll be a human.
It'll
What?
save on production value.
So weird.
We'll make the Gilman a non-Gilman.
Aw, thank you, Sarah,
Aw.
for gifting a membership. You are doing so much for me today. Thank you so much, Sarah. You are awesome. You've definitely earned yourself a spot on the panel in 2 weeks.
Come join us.
Give us some estrogen, please.
One of us. One of us.
Mhm.
No, Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of my like favorites. I love the Universal like horror universe. Like, I'm really sad that Tom Cruise's The Mummy didn't do well, because I really wanted that universe to take off.
It should have been
I
more
really-
horror, less MCU, and it would have been great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
Yes,
Tom Cruise.
and so well, yeah, that too. But
Tom
yeah,
Cruise was
no,
a weird
I
casting decision on that one.
yeah. And I just like, I really, because I still believe in it. Like I one of the things they've talked about, but of course it's DC, so they're going to ruin it, is Justice League Dark, and that universe and everything. And to me, it's of the same vein as the
George
Universal.
Miller was this close.
oh, and
He almost made it.
it's great for it's ripe for a movie universe and an interconnected kind of universe that you could really, really build off of, and so much, again, psychology behind it, and Creature from the Black Lagoon just really falls right into that. And it's like if Aquaman was a little bit more disturbing, and so and so I just like, I know I love the movie. And again, it falls into line to me with me to like King Kong and that whole kind of like genre of who truly is the monster, ourselves or the monster kind of concept.
That's a good time for me to plug. Next week on my channel, I have a review of Mighty Joe Young dropping. So
Yeah.
I just had to say that, so you can continue your thought.
No, it's perfect segue because that was it.
That's
for
one
me.
of the reasons I haven't brought up King Kong yet, is because I've got Mighty Joe Young coming out next week, and then we can talk about King Kong next time.
Perfect. But no, I see it in that same ilk of the who truly is the monster, right? And that's one of the things that I really love is when these questions question our own humanity, right? And I bring up often in conversations, like, values are a consistent thing, yet so often for us, we say these are human values, yet we cherry pick when to use them, right? And so our hypocrisy runs deep. And so like these movies really kind of bring that to our light. And so it
appears
what I really
my
love
hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Right. So yeah.
Tracy, yeah, sure, I'll have you on.
Oh, I would love that.
That'd be great. You can be here too if you want.
Oh, we do need more estrogen.
Yes, we do.
I'm not enough, y'all. I'm not enough.
I was gonna say, Scott, I thought we had some already.
I'm a delicate flower and everything, but just not quite enough. Per Eric's mom.
But the word I was looking for earlier. The word I was looking for earlier to describe the creature from the Black Lagoon was Ichthyosapien. But
okay, that's a good one. I like that.
Of course,
word.
Ichthyosapien. Of course,
Yeah.
I use that term daily. I don't know.
Right.
Well, it's
Now,
been in
okay.
a few movies. So
Here's a stupid question.
Yeah.
Where would you use that word other than in this movie?
Since there are no Ichthyosapiens, I would assume just when it comes to sea creature movies like this.
It would be so cool if there was, but
I think it's a word that like Guillermo del Toro could use in everyday conversation, but I think only Guillermo del Toro.
But he's a miracle worker. He could
Exactly.
He could do it no wrong.
Okay, let's move along. Scott, your turn.
All right. So I am going. I'd had Attack of the Killer Tomatoes lined up just in case Thrash didn't make it in time, but because I wanted to save this one for when Thrash was here, and that is The Thing from Another World.
I'm glad somebody brought it up.
Yeah, it is a great movie. There, again, I loved it. I love it, but there are some areas where it's like, the misogyny runs deep in it. The
guy gets tied up by the girl. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude. Oh yeah. Okay. Touche. But also, what? Like, you have just made the discovery of the century, and like, oh yeah, by the way, why don't you tie me up real fast?
That's the most realistic thing about the movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
like you've got all of this stuff going on, and you're gonna take this time to like step aside and have like this romance. Like, that to me was the one part. I get a lot of movies are like, we have to have a romance, we gotta like, and it's one of my, I get it's the era and everything like that, but one of my issues with some of the older movies is that like the only place for the woman at times, not always, but at times, you know, one of them's a secretary and the other one's, you know, like we got to bring a woman in, you know, so that we can have a woman, we have to have a romantic part because she can't be a general or something like that, right? And I know,
and
the
that's
era,
when
all that
America
stuff.
was great.
I know, right?
I don't
and
think
so,
the misogyny is all that strong in that movie because I think the movie is trying to actually break that. Like, yeah, she is a romantic interest for the lead. That happens. But at the same time, she is a much stronger female character than you expect from a 1950s, you know, horror movie.
no, she's a stronger, like, she's a stronger, like, character.
She's basically saying, definitely do not treat me just like a secretary. I am so much more than that. And like that's like her whole character arc.
I get that, but also like what I'm talking about, like the many of the comments, like not just like how they're interacting with her, but like commentary that they use is there's a lot of misogyny in it. I just like recently watched it and like I'm like,
no, I mean,
ooh,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I can't watch this with my daughters because like there's a number of like questionable things that I don't want them to normalize, right? And that's you know, and like at their age when they're older, like I think like I would like, and they can sit there and appreciate it for what it is, but at their younger age right now, I don't want them to see this as normal, right? And so that's why I would like that one I don't watch with them, because of the fact that like, you know, I like the fact
and
that
you
their
want
mom
them
is...
to eat their vegetables. You don't want them to think their vegetables are monsters.
Oh, I know, right? I was gonna, yeah. We'll just leave it at that,
wow,
right?
there's a
That's the word.
takeaway.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But
how
no,
we get our
it's
revenge.
so those are the questionable aspects. Those are some of the questionable. Also, I love that they're like, I loved the reporters' jabs at like military intelligence, at like that kind of like, you know, classic joke or whatever. And like the like it is a like, despite some of those, you know, questionable things, it is a really good movie. Like some of the jokes, the jabs, the acting is great.
The great Kenneth Tobey, man.
Oh man, the storylines, you know, are really solid and good movie. You've got the mad scientist, you know, aspect. It's a really, really good movie. I just, you know, like that was one of the things that like makes it rough with young girls is, you know, their mom's a rocket scientist. I want them to see like stars girls. Like there's not, you know, whereas like, hey, you're always a secretary, and they notice it. Like they'll ask me like with certain movies, they're like,
Well, kids
why are
definitely
they
pick
always
up on
putting
stuff like that? Yes.
yeah. And so that's where like when I've like when I'm seeing that they're picking this up and we're having these conversations, that's why I'm like kind of pulled away from watching some of these movies with them, is because I don't want to normalize this approach with them. And we have to come back to it when they're older and more, and they understand a little bit better. And not
Tracy
so
brings up a good point. A lot of the early Godzilla movies, the females are treated about the same way. Yeah. There's a lot of that in old Toho movies. Yeah, for sure.
I remember when I was a kid, my mother corrected me. Planet of the Apes came up, and we were talking about Zira, and I go, "Oh yeah, Cornelius's wife," and she goes, "No, the scientist." And I was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, she is a scientist too. I just know her as Cornelius's wife, and you know, I get a
really. If you watch the movie, though, Cornelius is kind of like her sidekick, not the other way around.
Exactly. she is far more empirical than he is. He's kind of a doofus. She also stands up to Dr. Zaius more than he does.
Yep,
so she's
absolutely.
actually
he wants to just like genuflect before Dr. Zaius and move on.
Nope, no theories here. Nope, no theories here. And Scott, I couldn't agree with you more. As a person who drowns himself in nostalgia, that's one of the things you must be careful of is in these older, shall we say, less enlightened times, some of the archaic ideas can be seen as, I hate to use this term, but it's so applicable, toxic. I must have told you guys a story. When I was a kid, one of the first jobs I had, I was working alongside, I was working in a grocery store. We used to bundle groceries, bring them out for people, and a lot of the retirees were going back to work at this time too, just to get out of the house, and a lot of them were World War II veterans, and I idolized World War II veterans, and I started drinking my coffee black because that's how they did it. I started smoking filtered cigarettes because that's what they did. This is what men did. Well, I'm not going to get into details here because I don't want to start any. But some of the other ideas they had were not healthy. Some of the way of looking at the casual misogyny. They weren't just misogynists; they were casual about it. Like, well, of course, this, that, and the other. And some other points of view were also equally as what would be considered inappropriate. So you do have to take these vintage films with a grain of salt. They're going to present you with a lot of ideas that should not be normalized, and that actually can be a problem if that is done. So I couldn't agree with you more, Scott.
They're
and
a
as
product
somebody
of their time,
Yeah, as somebody who reads a lot of sci-fi, classic old sci-fi, I have to. It's even worse there. Like, hello, Robert Heinlein. There's a lot of casual misogyny and like really upfront, in your face misogyny in classic sci-fi. It's like it's actually the exception to the rule when you have a person like Asimov who was more forward thinking, who was more, what's today's buzzword would be inclusive, less of a misogynistic jerk like Heinlein. As much as I love Heinlein,
I love Heinlein too, but his idea of being progressive was, let's all get naked, and in the future women will have contraceptive breath mints. That's your idea of being progressive?
I remember I was talking about Puppet Masters,
but is that a bad idea though?
No, it's a great idea, but it hardly shows that you're uplifting women's rights.
Right, yeah.
If that's the best you got.
I was talking about Puppet Masters not too long ago, and we were talking about like the movie with Donald Sutherland. And we're like, man, I just wish it had been a lot truer to the book. Like everybody has to walk around naked. Like that's actually like a big plot point in the book, is that they have to take off their clothes so that they can't disguise the alien on them. And I don't think that would work. I don't think you could do that in a movie.
Demon, it's all you reach for your neck when he's talking about Puppet Masters. I'm like, that was perfect. You would,
you could do it in a movie in certain places on the internet. You could do that.
Well, yeah, sure, but you're not gonna get a Hollywood budget for that.
Right. Ron Jeremy in.
And I love Donald Sutherland. I don't need to see him without his clothes on. I really don't.
Right.
I've seen Animal House. I've seen enough.
Right. There you go.
That's all the that's the maximum amount that we ever need to see.
But yes, it was just a product of a different time, and never judge history by today's standards. It's like that you do a disservice to progress when you do that. But I get exactly what you're saying.
Not fair.
I'm not trying to diminish your point at all. I agree with it.
My only reason for bringing that up is that like I love watching watching movies with my girls and stuff like that, but like it's my one, and I'm trying to incorporate a lot more like older movies and stuff like that, because there's value in them. And I do agree with the audience when they brought up, like, we don't really bring up enough from the older ones, right? Of the older ones, which are phenomenal. And this is a great movie. 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. Also, like, free on Zumo, Tubi, Roku channel. It's a great movie. But as I'm watching these, my only irk is I can't bring my daughters in with it quite yet, because they're still young, they're impressionable, they're concrete, and I don't want these perspectives to become incorporated into how they see themselves, right? Like Sarah Silverman, regardless of what you think of her comedy, she had this like, she never thought about the fact that she couldn't do someone until someone brought up that girls can do it too. And she was like, well, isn't that obvious? But then when you bring that up, it's like, oh, wait, we're not supposed to. So it actually kind of brings that counter to it, right? And so I don't like, and that can be impressionable. And in their ages, these things can, get ingrained when they're concrete. And so that's why I have to that's my one irk is I want to share these things with my girls, but I can't because of the fact of how it could affect them in their self-image as they're trying to create that. So that's the only reason that I bring it up, is because yeah. And so yeah, I just that's my one beef. That's my one, area that I see as a flaw with the movie. But again, it's a product of its time. So I totally get it.
At the risk of using misogynistic language, I will say that like The Thing from Another World is a very seminal work. In that like it's one of the 3 movies from 1951 that like started the entire sci-fi movie boom. It's like it was
Mhm.
the Day the Earth Stood Still, The Thing from Another World, and When Worlds Collide. That's your template. Every sci-fi movie from the 50s that you can think of fits into one of those 3 molds, basically. And they were so popular and they were so successful. And of the 3, The Thing from Another World was the one that made the most money by far. Like it wasn't even a contest.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it
Really?
made a lot of money. Yes,
I
it was
would
a
have picked
huge
Earth Stood
success.
Still. Really?
Nope,
Wow.
it was The Thing from Another World. And actually, I think The Day the Earth Stood Still might be in 3rd place. I think When Worlds Collide may have made more. When Worlds Collide though was kind of like riding the coattails of Destination Moon, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, The Thing from Another World is, a lot of people nowadays just think of it as the first version of The Thing, and that's not fair. It's not the same movie. It's not even really the same story. Yeah, sure, you've got like this Arctic research station and there's a monster running loose, but that's about it. I love The Thing. I've talked about it to death. It's one of my favorite sci-fi horror movies, The Thing from 1982. But The Thing from Another World, I also love, and I try to keep them completely separate in my mind, even though here I am talking about them.
Really are.
They're very, very different, distinct movies. Yeah, and James Arness as a giant vegetable monster. What's not to love?
Yeah.
But The Thing from Another World does a really good job of being this. You think of 1950s sci-fi like thematically. You usually think of it as like this struggle between science and the military. But like one or the other is going to be the good guy, one or the other is going to be the bad guy. In The Thing from Another World, it's kind of like this back and forth where like you can kind of see both of them making mistakes and you're not really sure who to trust. And that I really dig that about The Thing from Another World. It's not as simplistic as a lot of the movies that would follow. It's more nuanced. And after the atomic bomb, you can understand the cultural obsession with that question of science and the military and can you trust them and all that stuff. Right. It's very subtextual because in the 1950s you couldn't like make very like broad, bold statements about that. And I think that's one of the reasons The Day the Earth Stood Still, while more popular today, probably wasn't as big as you think it was back then, is because it was a little bit more in your face with its messaging.
Mr.
Yeah.
Carpenter.
Yeah. Mr. Carpenter, pretty obvious.
No ambiguity there. I don't know.
But yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about the fact of like that it's around that time of like, did science go too far?
Exactly.
Right?
Did science go too far? Right.
And
like, can we question the military after they just saved the world during World War II? Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Especially,
defense,
win,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like that's some of the stuff that's being tackled in the underneath the movie that I think is really important. And I think it's one of the reasons that movie resonated so well back in 1951.
Well, Brian Aldiss raises an excellent point. That science initially, and I'm not going to attack religion here. I'm just giving you his thesis. Science was initially tried to free people from what he saw as outdated dogma, but science didn't extinguish religion. Science became a new religion, and in fact, it enslaved people even more so than the original church, and it became a really slippery slope. Now the mad scientist, I loved how you called him the mad scientist. The mad scientist in Thing from Another World He does some profoundly stupid things. He's right up there with
He's an
Alec
idiot.
Guinness
Yes.
in Bridge on the River Kwai. It's like, are you kidding? Are you absolutely serious? But then when you hear his spiel at the end, he's just desperate for knowledge. He's desperate for the advancement of science. There has to be a way to make this work, and he gives his life. And they're actually very sympathetic towards him towards the end, even though he did what's possibly the most profoundly stupid thing he could have done in that one moment. But he's not doing it because he's not like Fu Manchu, who's just trying to enslave the world. He's trying to advance the world, and unfortunately, sometimes when you do one, you end up doing the other.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing message they managed to get in there rather tastefully, because as you say, at that time you had to be really, really, really careful with messages. I mean, people were still being blacklisted at this time,
Right.
And yeah, so it was just. Oh, and also, I just want to read this as a record. It has one of the best last lines in cinema history. I just always
Watch the
watch
skies.
But it's ominous. Always watch the skies, and you just were like, okay. It's like,
Tell the world.
I always love that.
Tell this to everybody, wherever they are. Watch the skies everywhere. Keep looking. Keep watching the skies.
Oh, I always love that last line.
You can find the words "Watch the skies" in every single Joe Dante film.
Really?
Who also liked to cast the elderly Kenneth Tobey as a cameo in most of his movies back in the 80s.
So you're saying he saw a thing from another world at some point in his life?
I think he must have, yeah. That or somebody told him about it, I guess. But yeah, just go back to Gremlins, which is like how we started this whole creature feature discussion. In the very first opening during the credits of the movie, like Billy walks past a movie marquee, and one of the movies is called Watch the Skies. That's the most obvious example. It's also he's also got another one. No, this isn't. Never mind. I'm thinking of something else. Move on.
Well, that movie's actually a treasure trove to vintage sci-fi. If you watch,
oh, absolutely. There's so much in there.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I find. So anyway, we got enough time for one more. Thrash.
Yeah,
Me.
go Thrash.
We're gonna end with me. Oh,
Yes.
I am honored. I am honored. And as always, again, I'm going to dig deep, and I'm going to use. I believe this one was Amicus. But it's Island of Terror with Peter Cushing, and this is such a fun movie. It takes place. Oh, we lost somebody. Oh, D-Man. It must have been that thunderstorm he was talking about. It takes place on a small island off the coast of England, where this doctor was working on a new medical procedure and ends up creating engineered life form, which needs calcium in order to survive. And what it does is it creates these. They look like the Manta ships from War of the Worlds. Oh, good to have you back.
Sorry about that.
They're basically like big slugs with like a long, not really an ocular, but a long like arm attachment in the front, and they go around. And when they catch you, they suck the calcium out of you. So all it's left is this weird bag thing. And now I know there's a huge debate between fast zombies and slow zombies. I am a slow zombie club, not just because that's what they were when I first started watching them. What makes the thing so... I mean, something that comes at you really, really fast, like a leopard, yeah, that's scary, but it's like a jump scare. Things that just sort of relentlessly track you, that horrifies me. And these things are very slow moving, but they hunt in packs and slowly encircle people. And you're on a little island, so you can't get away. It's sort of like the whole Attack of the Killer Shrews, which is also on my list, type scenario. And they make this weird sort of jing, 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 jing. So you actually hear them before you see them. And it's that sort of like campfire story horror thing where it's like, you know, it sets the mood for each attack. And it's they're very schlocky. But this movie is just so much fun. There's actually one scene, like I said, they're like the size of a garbage can, and they're big and they're flat and they're slow moving. But there's one scene, a posse is in the forest trying to find where they're hiding, and one drops from a tree and just kind of goes and gets them, and it's sort of like the Donald Pleasance fate in Fantastic Journey, Fantastic Voyage, Fantastic something or other. But it's just like it actually gave you a jump scare, so you can actually get a jump scare from a slow moving monster. And of course, it's got Peter Cushing as previously mentioned. It's got the guy I'm so ashamed I can't think of his name. He was actually a big sci-fi horror actor in the UK. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but he's probably best known in our circles. He was the younger guy in First Men on the Moon.
Edward Judd. Edward Judd.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
the same guy from The Day the Earth Caught Fire.
Caught fire. Yes. And it's you guys for the win. But yes. And they're desperately trying to figure out a way of finding out something to kill these creatures with. And again, and they're stuck on the island. And of course, little things happen, like there's a communication breakdown, so they're stuck there and they can't get reinforcements, and it has a very claustrophobic we're on an island Wicker Man feel to it. It's just the whole thing works on so many levels. I can't recommend it enough.
Okay, I haven't actually seen it. I have heard of it. It's kind of one of those movies that, again, feels like a Hammer movie but isn't.
Yeah, it's Amicus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes.
I don't have anything else to add. I know
I've never
of it.
seen it, but it sounds interesting. Yeah.
Well, that's my
haven't seen
job.
Island.
But what's the title? Island of Terror, and I think that's actually my my function in this little consortium is I present things that even you guys haven't
Yes,
seen.
even I don't know about. Obscure. That obscure.
I'm not obscure. I'm actually non-existent. I remember movies that have never actually existed.
Just making them up.
I've got a few of those in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting creatures. Yeah.
Okay.
Charge.
Cancer research goes awry and spawns a bunch of weird boneless amoeba things.
That is the best plot synopsis tagline I could have possibly thought. Yes, very, very good.
Thank you,
Smartass
Smartass Podcast. Excellent title for a podcast, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Amazing.
I love that.
Amazing. Love it.
I gotta follow them.
Apparently
Just
even
for that
Indy
name
hasn't
alone.
seen that one.
Wow.
You are on fire tonight.
Oh no, I think he's saying good luck getting. I think he's saying that he has seen it and saying good luck getting one past
Good
me.
guy, see. Never mind.
Gotcha,
I am
gotcha.
wrong.
Wizards of Mars. That's my go-to. Wizards of Mars. If you've seen Wizards of Mars, I can't top that.
Nope.
You haven't?
I have not.
haven't.
No.
It's basically the Wizard of Oz done as a very, very, very low budget Mission to Mars movie.
Okay.
Has a John Carradine has a not even a monologue, it's like a soliloquy at the end where he gives us 2.5 minutes of exposition about how the Martian Empire sort of came and collapsed, and that's actually the high point of the whole movie.
That sounds a lot like what was that movie where they went to Mars? It was Lloyd Bridges. I did a whole video on this movie. It came out to compete with Destination Moon. Rocket Ship XM. Sounds a lot like that.
That's right.
Where there's like a civilization that died on Mars and everything. Yeah.
Or Red.
Indy says.
Go ahead.
Indy says he hasn't actually watched it, but he does know.
Ah.
Fair enough. Red Planet Mars was a good one in that ilk as well. That's the one with the rat, bat, spider thing and the giant amoeba.
Yes. Yes,
But-
yes.
As always, I'm steering the conversation way off topic. I'm sorry, gang.
No, it's over. Like, it's okay. You can't really derail if we're already at the station, right?
You'd be surprised. You take out more people that way.
So, yeah.
I gotta make a
if-
mad dash. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just about to clear out. Okay.
Never mind. Go for it. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, I've got that Mighty Joe Young video coming out next week. If you're a Patreon member or you're a member on my channel, I do have an Outer Limits review that is dropping today, but I had to make it members only. If you don't know why, go watch my last video. And that's about all I got for now. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we will have at least one other guest who will have ovaries.
And I will be on time.
Okay, and Thresh will be on time. You heard it here first.
Wink,
Until
wink.
then, make sure you check out Thrash's show tonight, because he's got a show tonight.
7:30.
Yeah, I might be a little late because I am going to go see Deadpool today, so
Oh, okay.
I might not make it on time. And I guess that's about all I got. Do you want to plug anything, Harold, before you go?
Yes. So Tuesday we have our 7 Days to Die stream. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And then next Friday we've got again 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We've got Linja the Space Ninja and I do Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. And then next Saturday, 9 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We've got myself, the Unapologetic Geek, Linja the Space Ninja, and Ron Unprepared usually. We've got 7 Days to Die stream. So we do that Saturdays and Sundays, or Saturdays and Tuesdays.
Sundays. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no. Sundays.
When were you going to tell me?
And then Tuesdays and Fridays, I drop videos. And then also check out my social medias and also my shorts here. I post a lot of funny shorts and videos like on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Threads, and on YouTube Shorts. So check, I just post them all over, the same videos all over. So if you watch it anywhere, you can see in any one of those places, you'll see my videos. But check those out. I try to be really funny with them, and put some funny music to them and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
And if you follow me, if you can follow me on TikTok, because I'm this close to being able to stream on TikTok too. So I just need like 18 more followers on TikTok. So if you have a TikTok, please follow me on TikTok, because I'm this close to being able to stream there also.
And then you'll be TikTok on the clock.
Yeah. And it's Harold the Hatter on TikTok also. Yeah.
He's all over the internet, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
So
It's everywhere.
I'm like a creature that we might bring up. So
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, as always, never be ashamed of what you love, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
love y'all.